Okay, hey guys, welcome to our Wednesday Bible study. I'm going to start the stream a little bit early and get it established. I'll tell you why here in a second. It's been a it's been a hectic 20 minutes around here. Holy smokes! Um, as you probably remembered last week, I announced we'd be opening our Bible study up to folks who want to come here, be live in our studio audience. Uh, and so I said, we'll have it in the fellowship hall. And I announced that Sunday in church too. And so I go down here a little while ago and sit up in the fellowship hall, get all my podium set up, get my microphone in the right place, get everything set up, and realize I don't have enough internet, enough Wi-Fi to stream. And I promised you guys that we would keep our online as well as having the opening it up to in-person attendance too. So I can't drop the stream. So we've moved. Spent the last 20 minutes frantically getting everything moved up the hallway here. We're in the Susanna Wesley class. We refer to it as the parlor. Okay, you can see why. So yeah. So everything's together. We may tweak the setup and stuff, but all is well. So, want to welcome you to our Wednesday Bible study. My name is John. I'm the pastor here at First United Methodist Church in Mountain City and also of Trade United Methodist Church up in Trade, Tennessee. We are coming from the parlor of First United Methodist. Our Bible study is now open to those who wish to come and be in person. You've got to wear your masks and maintain social distancing. But you can come and be with us in person. But we're going to keep our online component as we have been in the past. But here we are in the parlor. Let me kind of show you around a little bit. Neat space. We don't have the table like we would in the fellowship hall, but we got some comfy chairs. So that's pretty cool too. Let's set that down without dropping it. But aha, I hear the door. So we'll have some folks joining us here in person, and that's a good thing. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm following the sound.
I'm in the parlor.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Casey. I work for Spectrum Business. I just want to come by and introduce myself.
Okay.
Let you know if there's anything at all I can do for you. Just give me a call. My number and my email's on there.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thanks. You too. Okay. Well, that was nice. Not quite what I expected, but that was nice. Don't want to hurt her feelings. We've got SkyBest fiber optic internet here at the church and at the parsonage, and I absolutely love it. Really good, fast service. The reason I had to move to the parlor wasn't the fault of SkyBest. It's we need to put another router down there in the fellowship hall. That's not SkyBest's problem. We need to expand our Wi-Fi coverage. Anyway, okay. I'm sorry. I apologize to you all for being so scattered. But when you do something new, and especially have to change it on the fly, there's always some bumps in the road. So we'll go ahead and get started. I want to share with you a mug from Las Vegas. Gail and the girls and I took a 2-week car trip back in 2005. That was a lot of fun. And so we went to Las Vegas. Didn't do any gambling, but we had some fun wandering through the shops and things. And of course, I had to get a mug. And this is so appropriate that when I bought the mug, before I could even get it home, the decal was cracking. And so it's never been washed, never had anything in it. And so the decal's still on there, but it's cracked pretty badly. I thought, yeah, that's kind of looks good from a distance, but when you get up to it, it shows it's got some issues. So good time, good memories. All right, today we're looking at Exodus chapter 32. And we're going to be looking at the golden calf. And Bob's in the house wishing me and mine, us and ours, a happy, blessed Wednesday. Bob, the same to you as well. Absolutely. It is a beautiful day. Beautiful day. Okay. Exodus 32. We've been talking about the detailed instructions on how to build the tabernacle, how to build the ark, how to create the vestments, the clothes for the priests, and how the priests are supposed to act and approach the ark and be in the tent of meeting. And so we've had this long discussion on that. And then chapter 32 kind of is a break. There's an abrupt break in that. And when you look at the Old Testament, especially Exodus, from a source perspective, it seems to be that 32. What we have is chapter 32. Remember, the original text didn't have the chapter verse breakdowns that we've got in our modern Bibles. That was probably lifted out from its original place and put here for a theological purpose, to make a theological point. And the place it was taken from is right at the end of chapter 24. 24? Yeah. Okay. Let me read to you the tail end of 24, 12 and following. The Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and wait there. I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and the commandment, which I have written for their instruction." So Moses set out with his assistant Joshua, and Moses went up into the mountain of God. To the elders he had said, "Wait here for us until we come to you again, for Aaron and Hur are with you. Whoever has a dispute may go to them." Then Moses went up the mountain, and the cloud covered the mountain. The glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. On the 7th day, he called to Moses out of the cloud. Now the appearance of the glory of the Lord was like a devouring fire on top of the mountain in the sight of the people of Israel. Moses entered the cloud and went up the mountain. Moses was on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. Skip. When the people saw that Moses was delayed to come down from the mountain, the people gathered around Aaron and said to him, "Come, make gods for us." So you can see how in the flow of that portion of the narrative, it's a perfect seamless fit. Moses goes up on the mountain. He's gone for 40 days, 40 nights. People get restless. But it's moved here after this instruction on how to build, how to be, in essence, how to be faithful in the worship of God, be faithful and obedient people of God, to make a point, a theological point, that the story of the people of God, whether they be Israelites, Jews, or us as Christians, is a story of a wayward, sinful people saved by the fierce love and the fierce grace of God. I wish I could lay claim to that phrase, fierce grace, but I read it elsewhere, and it really resonates with me, because our God is fierce in loving and forgiving and blessing His people. There are consequences when we disobey, but our God doesn't give up on us, even when He's sorely tempted. And we'll get to that here in a second. So let me continue on in 32. When the people saw that Moses delayed to come down the mountain, the people gathered around Aaron and said to him, "Come, make gods for us, who shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what's become of him." Aaron said to them, "Take off the gold rings that are on the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me." So all the people took off the gold rings from their ears and brought them to Aaron. He took the gold from them, formed it in a mold, and cast an image of a calf. And they said, These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. When Aaron saw this, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, tomorrow shall be a festival to the Lord. They rose early on the next day and offered burnt offerings and brought sacrifices of well-being. And the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up in revelry. Wow, that didn't take long. I mean, they look at the mountain with the flaming top and say it's been a month. Well, we don't know what happened to this dude that brought us out. We need a god. So here, make us one, Aaron. And Aaron goes along with it. Aaron, the brother of Moses, the spokesperson for Moses, the one who was with Moses when God did all these miraculous signs and brought the people out of Egypt, he goes along with it and co-opts the forms of the worship of God. He declares a day of worship, and he has them offer sacrifices, burnt offerings, and thanksgiving offerings. But at the end of it, the people eat and drink, and they don't rise up really to worship or rise up to be recommitted to following God. They rise up to revel. They rise up to party. Now, there is nothing wrong with having a party, nothing wrong with having fun, nothing wrong with revelry per se, but it is not the right reason. I mean, they haven't rightly offered Thanksgiving. They haven't rightly shared, in our context, they haven't rightly shared table fellowship with each other in memory of what the fellowship that God offers us. They've made for themselves God so they can feel good about themselves, and they rise up to party in that kind of prideful sense. They aren't being obedient to God. They're just doing really what they want to. They're being that's really the literal definition of wanton. They are following their own wills instead of what God told them. It blows my mind, and it probably shouldn't, because we people have a almost infinite capacity for deluding ourselves, or maybe more accurately, rationalizing and figuring out what a good sounding reason for us to do what we want to do. And Gail's in the house. Hello, Gail. I'm glad you're with us today. If audio and video is wonky or something, let me know, and I'll see if I can fix it. Because as I said a minute ago, we're in a different spot than I'd planned, and I did this on the fly, so I hope everything's working okay. So anyway, so I just can't imagine that they've seen the manna, they've seen God to separate the waters. Here they are. Yeah, they've been waiting on Moses for 40 days and 40 nights. And if that were 40 calendar days, that would be a long time. It could even be longer than that. Remember, we've talked about this before, that 40 days and 40 nights in Scripture, Old and New Testament, that may not mean 40 calendar days. 40 in the Jewish context is a symbolic number for enough, for completion. So Moses was on the mountain long enough to get the instruction from God and get the tablets of the law. Gail is letting me know that there was no YouTube link. Yeah, I think that was my fault. I was hurrying trying to get everything set up, and I didn't. It went live instead of scheduling. So I'm sorry. I apologize to everyone who's having a hard time finding this. And we'll when there are questions, or we may have to revisit some of this next week because of people not finding the stream. So anyway, so Exodus 32, and they have made the calf, and the people have risen up to revel. Exodus 32:7. The Lord said to Moses, "Go down at once. Your people, who you brought up out of the land of Egypt, have acted perversely. They've been quick to turn aside from the way that I commanded them, and cast for themselves an image of a calf, and have worshipped it and sacrificed to it and said, "These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt." God is not happy. And it's really interesting that God says to Moses, "Go down and talk to your people." God didn't say my people are going astray. God is hot. We talk about God's love. We talk about God's forgiveness, God's patience. And sometimes I think that we tend to think of God as this kind of impersonal force for good. And I think sometimes we tend to ignore the personhood of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The personhood of God. God is ticked. God's people, who God has put a lot of time and energy and effort into, are choosing to do wrong. They're being stubborn, prideful, willful. They are thumbing their nose at everything that they've been told, and in a very real sense, ignoring the evidence of their own senses. And that's a problem today, brothers and sisters. People believe what they want to believe instead of seeing what's right there in front of them. That's a problem we very much have today, not just back then. So God's mad, and that's perfectly understandable. And it's perfectly holy for God to be angry as well. Anger is not an unholy emotion. It's what we do with it that makes it holy or unholy. So God is right to be mad. And let's see. All right. Verse 9. The Lord said to Moses, "I have seen this people, how stiff-necked they are. Now let me alone, so that my wrath may burn hot against them, and I may consume them, and out of you I will make a great nation." Don't you know Moses was tempted? Don't you know that after all the belly aching, the whining, the complaining, the negativity, don't you know, for at least for a moment, maybe Moses is a better person than I am, and that's very likely. I know I would be tempted for just at least a brief instant to say, that would be kind of nice to not have to deal with all these complainers. But that's not what God planned. That was not God's purpose for bringing out all the people of Israel. So Moses does this amazing job of talking God out of God's anger, reminding God of all the promises. 11. But Moses implored the Lord his God and said, "O Lord, why does your wrath burn hot against your people, whom you brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and a mighty hand?" We know why. But Moses is immediately reminding God that, he invested all this time and energy to bring out these people. Why should the Egyptians say it was with evil intent that he brought them out to kill them in the mountains and to consume them from the face of the earth? Pointing out what all the enemies of God would say, that in effect, all their mockery, all their evil thoughts, the evil of their hearts, which made them assign evil motives to others, that will be confirmed in their own minds. Never mind the fact that, in a very real sense, the Israelites down there in the bottom of the foot of the mountain have it coming to them. Let's see. Turn from your fierce wrath. Change your mind. Do not bring disaster on your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, how you swore to them by your own self, saying to them, "I will multiply your descendants like the stars of heaven, and all this land I have promised I will give to your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever." And the Lord changed his mind about the disaster he planned to bring on the people. See, God can change his mind. That freaks some people out, that we talk about God being the same yesterday, today, and forever, and that's true. But that does not mean God cannot change his mind. You've heard me say before that when God does change God's mind, it's in the direction of God's nature. God doesn't go from wanting to bring good to wanting to bring harm. God will, and several times in Scripture, relents from bringing harm And in this case, I think we could all agree that the punishment, the harm that Israel had earned, well, they had earned it. God would not be unjust to wipe them all away and start over. But God chose to be merciful. There are going to be consequences, but God chose to be merciful, and I hesitate to use the term salvage something from the wreckage, but there's some truth to that. So Moses is very, very rapidly reminding God of what God's own acts of kindness, mercy, God's own promises. When we are beseeching God for help and for forgiveness, that's not a bad idea that we remind God of God's own goodness, God's own mercy. We might as well not try to say, well, I'm not so terrible, and I don't always do bad. Just remind God of God's his own goodness. Okay. 15. Then Moses turned and went down from the mountain, carrying the 2 tablets of the covenant in his hands. Tablets that were written on both sides, written on the front and the back. The tablets were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God, engraved upon the tablets. When Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said to Moses, "There is a noise of war in the camp." But he said, "It is not the sound made by victors, or the sound of losers. It is the sound of revelers that I hear." As soon as he came near the camp and saw the calf and the dancing, Moses' anger burned hot. And he threw the tablets from his hands and broke them at the foot of the mountain. He took the calf that they made, burned it with fire, ground it to powder, and scattered it on the water, and made the Israelites drink it. So kind of rubbing their nose in it. And it's very human, brothers and sisters, that after all that that elegant and eloquent appeal to God on the behalf of the Israelites, when Moses sees it, he gets his anger burns hot in him, and his anger. I'm not sure about the breaking of the tablets. I'm not sure that was a righteous act, but his anger moves him to destroy the golden calf and make the people drink of it, kind of making them realize the magnitude of the sin that they committed. Now, I love this part. Exodus 32:21. Moses said to Aaron, "What did this people do to you that you have brought so great a sin upon them?" Now, Aaron didn't bring the sin up. Well, yeah, he kind of did. Aaron didn't stop it. It was his job to stop it, and he didn't. He didn't stand up to the people. He did not make an unpopular decision. He did not have the moral courage to stand up. And many times when people are faced with that, they say something to the effect of, "Well, they might have gotten mad and killed me." And this may offend some people, but I'm going to go for it anyway. In the Harry Potter books, there is a scene that is just so beautiful and captures this dilemma and their correct response to it. Some of the folks who have been fighting against the evil Lord Voldemort, trying to basically take power. He's killed people. He's an evil person. And some of the folks who had been fighting him had a friend who went over to the other side. This friend betrayed the good side, the good folks, and went over and helped Lord Voldemort because this person was afraid. And when his friends confronted him, this person said, well, he was gaining power. He could have killed me. And one of his other friends said, "Well, you should have died." And that is such a powerful thought that there are some things worth dying for. truth, right, God, those things are worth dying for. And Aaron has failed that test of moral courage. There are worse things than death. And remember, for the Christian, death is not the enemy. Death is not the final. Death does not have the final say. So Aaron was afraid. And Aaron said, "Do not let the anger of my Lord burn hot. Don't be mad at me. You know the people, how they are bent on evil." Now Aaron, in psychological terms, Aaron is triangulating. He is saying, "Look, don't be mad at me. Be mad at them." And like, you can almost see him putting his arm around Moses. You know how awful they are, how stubborn and stiff-necked. So he's trying to deflect Moses' anger onto the people and kind of trying to avoid his own responsibility. That's triangulation. Got to be looking out for that. It's still very much a human tactic. Okay, you know the people, how they are bent on evil. They said to me, "Make us gods who shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what's become of him." So Aaron, I said to them, "Whoever has gold, take it off." And they gave it to me. I threw it in the fire, and out came this calf. Huh, it's a miracle. No, it's not. Aaron is trying to, he's lying. He's trying to save his own skin. And my goodness, isn't that human? Don't we see that today? Don't be mad at me. These people wanted it anyway. I just went along and out popped this calf. I didn't have anything to do with it. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. So that's it frustrates me. But in some weird way, it's kind of reassuring to see a modern day conversation here in the ancient world of the Bible. This conversation could happen, has happened, does happen pretty much daily. Look, it's not my fault. It's these other people's fault. I just went along with it. It's not my fault. We people have not changed, and that's good and bad. We're supposed to be growing, and we're not doing such a hot job of it. So, anyway, I tell you what, brothers and sisters, it's getting a little bit late. There's a lot going on here. I think we're going to cut this part off and pick it up again next week. And hopefully next week I'll get the links up better, and I'll go ahead and kind of hit the highlights of this section again, so we can have a good grounding going into the next half of this discussion. This isn't over yet. Nothing is really resolved. So there are more things to come. So yeah, we'll go ahead and stop here and pick it up next week. Again, you're welcome to join us here in person at First United Methodist in Mountain City, or again, we'll be staying on, keeping our online presence going, and I'll do better getting the links out in advance next time, so you can have an easier time finding it. But anyway, thank you. God bless you. Enjoy this pretty weather, and we will see you next week. And we'll see you at church on Sunday. God bless. Bye-bye.